In the late 1960s, Northern California found itself trapped inside one of the most chilling mysteries in American history, a case that still sparks debates, theories, and investigation attempts more than 50 years later. It began with a string of violent attacks, followed by letters that felt like they were crafted to terrorize an entire region. The writer called himself the Zodiac, and through encrypted messages, taunts, and threats, he became one of the most notorious unidentified serial killers the country has ever known. To this day, his identity remains a haunting question mark. Before we dive deeper into the clues, the ciphers, and the bizarre communications that shaped this case, make sure to subscribe if you enjoy unraveling America's biggest mysteries. It helps us bring you more stories just like this. The Zodiac Killer's confirmed attacks took place between 1968 and 1969 around the San Francisco Bay Area. The first known victims were high school students David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen, who were shot while parked on a remote road near Vallejo, California. There were no witnesses, no clear motive, and no immediate suspects. 7 months later, another couple, Darlene Ferrin and Mike Mageau, were attacked in a similar fashion. Mageau survived, giving one of the few first-hand descriptions of the shooter. Still, police had almost nothing concrete to work with until the killer decided to introduce himself to in August 1969. 3 major newspapers, the San Francisco Chronicle, the San Francisco Examiner, and the Vallejo Times-Herald, received letters that would ignite one of the most infamous investigations in American criminal history. Each envelope contained a handwritten message, along with 1/3 of a 408-character cipher. The writer demanded that the newspapers publish his code on their front pages, or he would cruise around all weekend killing lone people in the night. What followed was a shocking wave of public fear and media attention unlike anything the Bay Area had ever seen. Within days, a high school teacher and his wife cracked the cipher from their home. The decrypted message didn't reveal the killer's identity, but instead described his fascination with murder and his belief that killing would send him to an afterlife filled with slaves. "I will not give you my name," the message said, ending any hope that the code would lead to a quick arrest. Yet it also exposed something unexpected about the man behind the letters. He wanted attention. He wanted to be feared. And he was willing to toy with authorities to get exactly that. As the months went on, more letters arrived. Some accused the police of incompetence. Others included new ciphers, strange diagrams, and references to pop culture. One of his most famous letters featured a cross-circle symbol, which soon became his personal signature. Another included a piece of a victim's bloody shirt, a grim confirmation that these messages were indeed from the killer himself. With each new communication, the Zodiac seemed to be performing for the world, carefully controlling his own myth. One of the most unsettling attacks occurred at Lake Berryessa, where the killer approached a young couple enjoying a quiet afternoon. This time, he wore a bizarre execution-style hood with his symbol printed on the front. After tying the victims up, he brutally stabbed them and then walked away as calmly as he had arrived. One victim survived and later gave police a description of the costume, a detail that made the Zodiac even more frightening. He was no longer just a shadow in the night. He was someone willing to reveal himself in a theatrical, almost ritualistic way. Perhaps the most iconic letter arrived in 1969, addressed to the San Francisco Chronicle. Inside was the now famous 340-character cipher, a puzzle that would remain unsolved for over 50 years. Investigators, amateur cryptographers, and codebreakers from around the world tried to decipher its meaning. It wasn't until 2020 that a team of private codebreakers cracked it using software, pattern analysis, and months of trial and error. But even this message failed to reveal a name. Instead, it continued the Zodiac's pattern of taunting law enforcement and bragging about his crimes. As police investigated, several suspects emerged, but none could be definitively linked to the crimes. The most famous was Arthur Lee Allen, a troubled man whose behavior and background raised multiple red flags. Police gathered search warrants, interviewed witnesses, and collected handwriting samples, but every major piece of evidence failed to connect him conclusively. DNA samples from the envelopes, though degraded, eventually excluded him. Other suspects surfaced over the decades, but each one came with just enough inconsistencies to keep the case unsolved. Meanwhile, the Zodiac himself seemed to vanish. His final confirmed letter arrived in 1974, a short message criticizing a movie and signing off with his usual symbol. After that, he went silent. Some believed he died. Others believed he was arrested under a different name. And some theorists suggest he simply retired, satisfied with the legend he had created. The truth is, no one knows. And the uncertainty is exactly what keeps the Zodiac case alive today. What makes this mystery so enduring isn't just the brutality of the crimes. It's the killer's ability to insert himself into the public consciousness. He manipulated the press, the police, and the public, using fear and curiosity as his weapons. The ciphers, the symbols, and the theatrical letters turned a murderer into a decades-long puzzle, one that continues to fascinate investigators and true crime fans today. Modern forensic technology, including advanced DNA analysis, continues to offer hope, but so far, no breakthrough has definitively exposed the man behind the mask. As long as the Zodiac remains unidentified, his story represents something deeper, a reminder that even in a world of endless information, some secrets can survive for generations. And that realization is perhaps the most chilling part of all. That if you enjoy exploring America's most mysterious unsolved cases, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. It helps us bring more dark and fascinating stories to you every week.